छोटा वाला जाता है, व्हाइट वाला, पैकेट वाला आता है।
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी, यशोदानंदन व्रजजन रंजन, यशोदानंदन व्रजजन रंजन, यमुना तीरा वनचारी, यमुना तीरा वनचारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Radha, Madhava Radha, Madhava Radhe, Jaya Radha, Madhava Radha, Madhava Radhe, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jai Subhadra, Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada की जय. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. नष्टप्रायेष भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी. ओम ज्ञानविनन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं. वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरौ श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने. नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिसिद्धान्त सरस्वतीरिति नामिने. श्रीवार्षभानवी देवी दयिताय कृपाब्धये विश्वसंबंध विज्ञान वेदवना श्री माधुर्योज्वल प्रेमाढ्य श्री रूपानुगभक्तिद श्री गौरा करुणा शक्ति विग्रहाय नमोस्तुते. नमस्ते गौरवाणी श्रीमूर्तये दीनतारिणे रूपानुगा विरुद्धाप सिद्धान्तध्वान्तहारिणे. नमो गौरकिशोराय साक्षाद् वैराग्यमूर्तये विप्रलम्बारसाम्बोधे अदाम्बुजायते नमः. नमो भक्ति विनोदाय सच्चिदानन्दनामिने गौरशक्तिस्वरूपाय रूपानुगावरायते गौराविर्भावभूमेस्त्वं निर्देष्टा सज्जनप्रियः वैष्णवसार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथाय ते नमः। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। जयतां सुरतोर्पङ्कुर मामन्दमतेर्गति मत्सर्वस्वापदां भोजौ राधा मदन मोहनो दिव्यदृन्दारण्यकल्पद्रुमादः श्रीमद्रत्नागार सिंहासनस्थौ श्रीमद्राधा शीलगोविन्ददेवौ रष्ट्रालिभिस्सेविमानस्मरामि। श्रीमान् रासरसारम्भि वंशीवटतटस्थितः कर्षं वेणो सनेर्गोपीर्गोपीनाथः श्रियस्तुनः तप्तकाञ्चन गौरङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। सर्वशास्त्राब्धिपीयूष सर्ववेदैकसत्फला सर्वसिद्धान्तरत्नाढ्य सर्वलोकैकदृक्पद सर्वभागवतप्राण श्रीमद्भागवत प्रभो कलिद्वान्तोदितादित्य श्रीकृष्ण परिवर्तित परमानन्दपाठान्य प्रेमवर्षक्षरायते सर्वदा सर्वसेव्याय श्रीकृष्णाय नमोस्तुते। मदेकबन्धो मत्सङ्ग्यन् मद्गुरो मन्महादन मन्निस्तारकमद्भाग्या मदानन्द नमोस्तुते। साधु साधुता दायि नदिनी जोजुतारक अनामञ्च कदाचिन्मां प्रेम्नारित्कण्ठयो स्पृहा। So we are back to Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 5. Yesterday we discussed that Narada, he started describing his own story. Why? What is the purpose of he describing his own story, his own life? Like we have some sections. Main bhakt kaise bana? How I became a devotee. We take interview of different devotees and then put it on the internet, make articles out of it. So Narada, without Vyasa asking anything, he directly started speaking him how he became a devotee. Why he spoke that how I became a devotee? The reason to show that how powerful is devotion. That he can bring a boy who was born by a maidservant who was not even knowing who his father was to the level of getting Satchidananda Swarupa, getting a spiritual body. So the effect of devotion, effect of hearing and chanting, which Narada realized in just one lifetime. It was not even full lifetime. It was just a few months, 4 months he attained prema. So he's describing that. So starting from verse 23 onwards, we discussed till how Narada attained prema. Now verse 23, it says, Aham puradita bhave bhavan mune. O Vyasa, O mune, puradita, before I was dasyastu kasyaschana vedavadinam. I was the son of a maid servant, and where we used to serve, my and my mother used to serve, and Vedavadinam. They were the Vedantists. They are pure devotees of the Lord. And as a child, I would just go and then sit and hear. I serve and then hear. So what happened because of that? I developed bhakti. So we discussed yesterday that there are 14 stages of bhakti. 9 are expanded to 14 by Sri Vishwanath Thakur, and it's got connection with the 5 verses there in the first canto, second chapter, 17 to 21, which are famous 5 verses which talks about the Abhideya Tattva. Now, the first 5 steps in devotion are described. First one is mercy of devotee. And because of mercy, you get service to devotee. And because of service to devotee, you would develop faith. And when you get faith, then you get initiation of devotee, that is sadhu sangha. So these four are described in the 24th verse. The 24th verse actually talks about Te maya mai apeta kila chapale arbhake. So I was just a small kid, and I was not interested in anything material. I was not interested in any play, etc., etc. Chakruhu kripam yadyapi tulladarshana sushrushamane muniyo bhashane. So Narada, he goes on describing that after that, what I did, once I got affection, initiation from them, they saw the Shraddha which is there in me. Though I did not understand what they are speaking, I had great faith and I was hearing to what they were speaking. Faith that if I listen to that, what they are speaking, I'll be benefited. That was the only qualification which I had. And that too, I got it because of serving them. And I got the opportunity of serving them because they have given me kripa. So in this way, Narada went on. And one day, when he was washing the vessels, he found some uchishta, anumoditaha, after taking permission from the sadhus. So he took the uchishta. That shows he had great affection. So this is called spriha. And then the next few steps in devotion, spriha. And then while with spriha, with great affection, what did he do? He went on performing bhakti, tad dharma. By performing bhakti, what happened? Apashta kil vishay. That is all the miseries in the heart, unwanted things, that is anartha nivritti manifested. Then evam pravrittasya, in spite of all the difficulties, because the modes of nature is experiencing because of adhyatmika, the bhautika, the daivika kleshas, but he still went on practicing devotional service, that is called nishtha. Now evam pravrittasya nishtha, ruchi prajayate, he developed taste. So the first 9 aspects of devotional service are discussed in the 24th and the 25th verse. The 24th verse talks about first 4, and the next 5 is spoken in the 25th verse. Now in the 26th verse, there are furthermore things which are discussed. That is, Tatranvaham Krishna Kata Pragayatam Anugrahana Shanvan Manohara Tashaddhaya me anupadam shanvataha priya shavasyanga mahanubhavadruchihi. Now, 2 more stages are described in the 26th verse. One is known as asakti, because he used the word shraddha, ta shraddhaya me anupadam vishanvati. Here the word shraddha has got a different meaning. That means that Narada has reached a stage where he just could not live without hearing from them. So that is called asakti. And in asakti, ruchi prajayate, here the word ruchi in the 26th verse, it refers to bhava stage, the stage of bhava. Then, after reaching the stage of bhava, tasmin sadalabdha rucher mahamate priya shravasya asak askalita matirmama yayahame tat sadasat swamayaya pasye mai brahmani kalpitam pare. Then that is the time when I was able to see that I am distinct from the body. I was able to see the Supreme Lord distinct from me, the level of bhava. So at that time, he achieved prema. Prema is described in the 28th, that is 11th or 12th step. Itam sharat pravrshikarit harer nishranto men anusavam yashomalam sankirtamanam muniber mahatmaber bhakti pravrittatmarajastamoha tamopaha. So that bhakti which actually completely destroyed rajas and tamas completely, not even a trace is there. It's called prema bhakti, manifested in my heart. Other 2 steps, that is sakshat darshan and madhurya anubhavam, these 2 are described in the next chapter. So we are reached till this, that is the 28th verse. Now we start on the 29th verse today. Tasyaivam menuraktasya rishadasya hateina sa shraddhadanasya bhalasya dantasya anucharasya cha. Now, he says that Tasyevam me anuraktasya. I became very attached to them. And not only that, Pareshrityasya hateina sa. So I was so much attached to them that I was very gentle. Shraddhadanasya bhalasya. And I was serving them right from the core of my heart. By doing so, what happened? All the sins which were accumulated in my heart, everything got eradicated. A strong faith. Jantasya anucharasya cha. Jantasya anucharasya. Whatever they told, I was doing with great affection for them. With all my heart and soul, I used to serve them. Now, because of these qualifications which I had, they saw me and they became very compassionate to me again. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, these are the necessary qualifications of a prospective candidate who can expect to be elevated to the position of pure, unadulterated devotee. So if somebody wants to attain Prema Bhakti, he should have these qualifications. Such a candidate must always seek the association of pure devotees. One should not be misled by the pseudo devotees. He himself must be plain and gentle to receive the instructions of such a pure devotee. A pure devotee is a completely surrendered soul to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He knows the Personality of God as the Supreme Proprietor, and all others are his servitors. And by the association of pure devotees only, one can get rid of the sins accumulated by mundane association. A neophyte devotee must faithfully serve the pure devotee, and he should be very much obedient and strictly follow the instructions. These are the signs of a devotee who is determined to achieve success in the existing duration of life. So these are certain qualifications to become pure to attain pure devotional service. Now comes what they did, saying this thing. Again they showed mercy. Jnanam guhyatamam yattat sakshat bhagavatoditam annavochan gamayishyantaha kripaya dina vatsala. Annavochan gamayishyantaha. Now, almost 2 months are over. They're about to leave, or 2 seasons are over. They're about to leave now. At the time, they called me and then spoke to me, Jnanam guhyatamam yattat. Because I had so much of prema in my heart already developed, but still they gave me knowledge. Why they gave me knowledge? The reason is that they thought this small boy now, generally young boys, they become very attached to devotional service if you show some love and affection for them. But the problem comes when they grow up. We observed in our preaching activities also, especially when you do a lot of children program. Children become so attached, they become so shraddha, they show so much of love, they start chanting, and the parents become surprised how my child is doing such a great devotee. But sometime when they become old means in the sense they reach the age of 13, 14, 15, that is the time they see the world, everybody is enjoying, why I should not enjoy? In this way, they become inclined to sense enjoyment. They become again materialistic. So, though Narada achieved prema, he would not go back to the material life, but still, the Vedantists, those who were Bhakti Vedantists actually, they gave him knowledge. What kind of knowledge they gave him? Jnanam guhyatamam. Now, what is the meaning of guhyatama? That has to be understood. There is guhya and guhyatara and guhyatama. So, what is the meaning of guhya jnana? Confidential knowledge. But more confidential knowledge, and is most confidential knowledge. Of course, we know in the Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna uses the word Guhya, Guhyatara, and Guhyatama. Guhya is mentioned in the second chapter. Guhyatara is mentioned in the 8th chapter, 7th and 8th chapter, 9th chapter. And Guhyatama is described in the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And Guhyatama is Bhakti. And Guhyatara is, there is Bhakti, but a mix of Jnana, the knowledge of the Lord's connection in this world, how the Lord relates with this world. So there is Bhakti, but mixture of Jnana is there. But Guhya is just dry knowledge. Of course, there is some Bhakti, some part of Bhakti in it. I am not this body and spirit soul. So this kind of knowledge is actually Guhya Jnana. Of course, no Jnana, no knowledge can be called knowledge without Bhakti. There is some aspect of Bhakti in it. Now what happens when the Jnana aspect decreases and the Bhakti aspect increases? That is known as Guhyatara. When the Jnana aspect becomes practically zero, that becomes pure devotional service, that is Bhakti. So they taught to Narada the knowledge which was given. What was that? Sakshat Bhagavatoditam. Whatever Krishna has told to Arjuna, that is known as Bhagavatoditam. Whatever Krishna has told to Uddhava, that is known as Bhagavatoditam. So, knowledge given by Krishna to Uddhava, knowledge given by Krishna to Arjuna, Bhagavad Gita, knowledge given by Krishna to Brahma, these are the three kinds of knowledge which are known as Bhagavatoditam. They were given to Narada. That is why Srila Prabhupada, he says that he is, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord says that long before instruction was given to Arjuna, instruction was imparted to Arjuna. The same was instructed before the instruction was given to Arjuna. The same knowledge was instructed to Vishwamitra. In this way, Srila Prabhupada talks about Bhagavad Gita. So, Jnana means ordinary knowledge. Knowledge which develops up to the knowledge of impersonal Brahman. Above it, partially mixed devotion. That is, knowledge develops into Paramatma. And then the most confidential knowledge is knowledge of Brahman. And Srila Prabhupada talks about the most confident knowledge imparted to Brahma, Arjuna, and Uddhava. Three people. And etc. He talks about that. So this knowledge was given. So they are now leaving, about to leave. So now they call again. Next day. Ye naimaham bhagavato vasudevasya vedasaha maya anubhavam avidam yena gachanti tatpadam. Now Narada, he says, once I got this knowledge, I realized something special. What was the realization Narada had? Ye naivaham bhagavato vasudevasya vedasaha mayanubhavam avidam yena gachanti tatpadam. So this knowledge which they gave was so interesting that I could see the Supreme Lord, his material energy, that is Maya Shakti, and his spiritual energy, that Chit Shakti. Both I could see that I could see this world as energy of Krishna. So if you want to know Krishna, there are two ways of knowing him. One is know to the external world, which is known as the Maya Shakti, Vairanga Shakti of the Lord. And there is one more Shakti, that is Parashakti. The part of Parashakti is Jiva. The analysis of Jiva to know Krishna, the analysis of the world to know Krishna, these are two ways. That is why in all the scriptures, even in the Bhagavad Gita, first Jiva Shakti has been described, and then Lord's external energy, Lord's connection to this world is described, because Krishna by himself, Sachidananda Swarupa, cannot be perceived in this world, but you can perceive Krishna's energy. So the only way to approach Krishna or understand Krishna is through his energies. So, but there are two energies. One is the Jiva Shakti, other one is the Maya Shakti, material world. So analysis of the material world, which is Mahato Mahiyam. And another one is Anoraniyam. So even the science also, they are trying to find out the smallest of the smallest. And they are trying to find out the biggest of the biggest. There's cosmology and there's micrology. So microscience, what is virus? It's very micro. They're doing so much of research and micro. And they're trying to do research, the cosmic. But in spite of that, they are not able to find out who is God because they don't know that God is the smallest of the smallest, biggest of the biggest. And the smallest of the smallest is I am Sukshmatvat, I am Jiva. I am the living entity who is very subtle. At the same time, the biggest of the biggest is cosmos. So Krishna is bigger than the biggest, smaller than the smallest. So to understand Krishna, first is to understand the living entity and to understand the material nature. So these two are energies of Krishna. That is why he says, Vasudevasya Vedasaha. Vasudevasya Vedasaha. Krishna is Vedasaha. He is known through Maya Anubhavam Avidam Yena Gachanti Tatpadam. So this is how one can go back home, back to God. God's own abode. How? By understanding is Maya. Uh, the Maya Chit Shakti, these two things comprise Maya. Now, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that by the devotional service or by the most confidential knowledge, one can understand very easily how the different energies of the Lord are working. One part of energy is manifesting in the material world, other superior part of material energy is manifesting in the spiritual world. And the via medium energy is maintaining the living entities, manifesting the living entities or serving either of the above mentioned energies. That means the knowledge of energies of the Lord. So a devotee, after practice of devotional service, how does he perceive this world? He perceives this world that everything is Krishna's energy. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahman. So this knowledge was revealed to Narada by the by the sages. Now, going further, 32nd verse. Etat samsuchitam brahmans tapatraya chikitsitam yadi ishvare bhagavati karma brahmani bhavitam. Now, after talking something about jnana, knowledge, they are talking about, they spoke to him about karma. Karma brahmani bhavitam. The subject matter now is karma. Let's see. Etat samsujitam brahmans. Tapatre chikitsatam. Idishware bhagavati karma brahmani bhavitam. Sri Prabhupada translates this verse as, O Brahmana Vyasadeva, it is decided by the learned that the best remedial measure for removing all troubles and miseries is to dedicate one's activities to the supreme service, to the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Now, Narad Muni personally experienced that the most feasible and practical way to open the path of salvation to get relief from all miseries of life is to hear submissively the transcendental activities of the Lord from the right bona fide sources. This is the only remedial process. The entire material existence is full of miseries. Foolish people have manufactured out of their own tiny brains many remedial measures for removing the threefold miseries pertaining to body and mind, pertaining to natural disturbances and relation to other living entities. The whole world is struggling very hard to exit out of these miseries. But men do not know that without the sanction of the Lord, no plan or no remedial measure can actually bring about the desired peace and tranquility. The remedial measure to the cure a patient by medical treatment is useless if it is not sanctioned by the Lord. To cross the river by ocean or the ocean by a suitable boat is no remedial measure if it is not sanctioned by the Lord. We should know for certain that the Lord is the ultimate sanctioning officer. We must therefore dedicate our attachments to the mercy of the Lord for ultimate success, to get rid of the shackles of the other path of success. The Lord is all pervading, all powerful, omniscient, and omnipotent. omnipresent. He is the ultimate sanctioning agent of all good and bad effects. We should therefore learn to dedicate our activities into the mercy of the Lord and accept Him either as impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, or Supreme Personality of Godhead. It does not matter what one is. One must dedicate everything in service to the Lord. If one is a learned scholar, scientist, philosopher, etc., poet, etc., then he should employ his learning to establish the supremacy of the Lord. Try to study the energy of the Lord in every sphere of life. Do not decree from him and try to become him like him or take his position simply by fragmental accumulation of knowledge. If one is an administrator, statesman, warrior, politician, etc., then one should try to establish the Lord's supremacy in his statesmanship. Fight for the cause of the Lord as Arjuna did. In the beginning, Sri Arjuna, the great fighter, declined to fight, but when he was convinced by the Lord that the fighting was necessary, Sri Arjuna changed his decision and fought for his cause. Similarly, one is a businessman, industrialist, agriculturist, etc. Then one should spend his hard-earned money for the cause of the Lord. Think always that the money which is accumulated is the wealth of the Lord. Wealth is considered to be good goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, and Lord is Narayana, husband of Lakshmi. To engage Lakshmi in service of Narayana and be happy. That is a way to realize the Lord in every sphere of life. The best thing is, after all, to take relief from the material activities and engage oneself completely in hearing the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. But in case of absence of such an opportunity, one should try to engage in service of the Lord, everything for which one has specific attraction. And that is a way of peace and prosperity. The word sansuchitam in this stanza is also significant. One should not think for a moment that the realization of Narada was childish, imagination only. It is not like that. It is so realized by expert and erudite scholars that it reveals that is the real import to the word sansuchitam. Now, in the in our daily interactions, we have two things. One is knowledge, and other is activity. In the way Upanishads also, there is Purva Bhaga and Uttara Bhaga in the Vedas. There is karma and jnana. Without knowledge, you cannot do an activity, and without doing an activity, the knowledge is of no use. So now they're talking, after speaking about jnana, knowledge of seeing the Lord everywhere in the form of his energy. Whatever you see in this world is nothing but Brahman, Sarvam Kalvidam Brahman. Now they taught to him about karma. So samsuchitam, the word is very significant. So samsuchitam, yetat sansuchitam Brahman. After great analysis, the learned people have come to this conclusion that is called samsuchita, samyak rupena suchitaha. That means conclusion of the great souls. Now they say that tapatraya chikitsitam. Tapatraya means we know three miseries. Everybody knows adhyatmika, dibhotika, didayivika. Chikitsa means remedy. What is the remedy for the threefold miseries? Yadishware bhagavati karma brahmani bhavitam. So it has been criticized. Karma has always been criticized because all believed it is the bondage is because of karma. Karma bandhana. Nobody says jnana bandhana. People say karma bandhana. There is karma bandhana, and by knowledge, what happens? You get rid of this karma bandhana. That is what people say. Of course, they don't have understanding of what is karma and what is jnana. So simply they say, by karma you are bound, by jnana you will be liberated. Because many verses in the Upanishads also talk something like this. So there's a big ignorance which was prevailing in the scholarly circle. So if you, because of karma you are bound, because of jnana you are liberated. So give up karma, accept jnana. So accepting jnana is liberation. That means you just give up this world, become a sannyasi. So becoming sannyasi is liberation. So this is Mayavad. But Vaishnavism has a different philosophy here. So Vaishnava philosophers, they say, as told by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, it is not the karma which is the cause of bondage. It is the attachment for the karma and the result of karma, the bondage. Bondage is not because of karma. Bondage is because of attachment. That is what is the subject matter which Krishna spoke in the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna, he thought, by doing the war, by doing my karma, I am getting bound by sinful reactions. So let me give up karma. So no karma, no bondage. No karma, no sin, no bondage. So the bondage or sin or piety is not because of karma, it is because of attachment. That is why Krishna in the 3rd chapter, he tells Arjuna, Nacha sanyasya devahi siddhim samadhi gacchati. Just because of on giving up karma, na karmanam anarambham naishkarmyam purushostute. Just by giving up karma activity, you will not get rid of bondage. Because bondage is because of attachment, asakti. Na karmanam anarambha naishkarmyam purushostute. Nachasat sanyasya devahi siddhim samadhi gacchati. Not just by taking sannyas, you attain siddhi, you attain perfection. Then what is the way? If karma is not the cause of bondage, then how to get rid of karma bandhana? Tapatraya. So that is what is described here. Chikitsitam. Tapatraya chikitsam. You employ the same karma in service of Supreme Lord. And that is how you get rid of the results of karma. So, if somebody thinks that karma is the cause of bondage, so let me stop karma. No, you cannot, because nahi kshanam jadu tishtat karma krit. For 1 second also you cannot stay without doing karma. Nahi kshanam jadu tishtat karma krit. Karati karma sarva karma prakriti gunaihi. Everybody has to perform activity. So if everybody has to perform activity, they cannot just live without activity. What you do? Engage your activity in Krishna's service. That is what is the essence of this verse. So whatever the knowledge Krishna gave in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita is spoken very samsuchitam by the sages to Narada. Because the sages knew that this boy, though he has attained prema, he requires the knowledge that the Lord is perceived by the analysis of this world, his energy, analysis of the living entity, and also he requires to know the theory of karma. Because though he has attained prema, for safe side he requires jnana. And also maybe some karma pravrutti may come, it will not come, it may come in him, or he may meet people who have the karma pravrutti, then he has to give an advice to them. What is the advice? Engage your tendency in Krishna's service. So Srila Prabhupada in the purport talks about the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Sudras. Of course, in modern terms, he spoke because Bhaktivedanta purports. So any tendency, whatever you have, what do you do? Yadishware Bhagavati Karma Brahmani Bhavitam. Karma Brahmani Bhavitam. You offer them to Supreme Lord. So offering to Supreme Lord is the only solution. Get rid of bondage of karma. Giving up karma is not the means. Now he goes further and gives an example. There is a nice example which is given here. Now, amayayo yascha bhutanam jayate yena suvrata tat eva hi amayam dravyam na punati chikitsamam. Amaya yascha bhutanam. Amaya means disease. Yasya bhutanam jayate yena suvrata o vyasa tat eva hi amayam dravyam na punati chikitsitam. A nice example is given, that of milk. Now, somebody has a stomach ache. He goes to the doctor. Oh Lord, the doctor, I'm having stomach ache, stomach ache, stomach ache. Stomach is paining. So, then the doctor says, okay, you got stomach ache. Do you have milk in your house? They said, don't take the name of the milk now. What happened? He told, somehow I got 10 liters of milk and I made 1 kilo peda out of it. Nicely made, nice peda. Peda, nice. So it was so tasty. Then what I did, I ate the entire 1 kilo peda. What happened? It went into the stomach and became stomach jam, like cement inside the stomach. Nothing is coming out. So, in past 2 days, I have not eaten anything and completely jammed. So, don't take the name of milk. The doctor says, you took the milk in the form of peda. That is why you had stomach ache. Now, you take the same milk, make it into curd, dahi, and then take the dahi that will cure the stomach ache. The same milk, when it is eaten as peda, that causes stomach ache. The same milk, when it is taken as dahi, as curd, that cures the stomach ache. The same way, the same karma, when it is done for your own sense enjoyment, that karma becomes the cause of bondage. And the same karma, which is performed for the satisfaction of Supreme Lord, that becomes the cause of liberation, cause of relief from bondage, cause of liberation. So, this milk example is very nicely given. I'll read the purport and then we'll see how it goes further. An expert physician treats the patient with a therapeutic diet. For example, milk preparation sometimes cause disorder to the bowels, but the very same milk converted into curd and mixed with some other remedial ingredients cures such disorders. Similarly, the threefold miseries of material existence cannot be mitigated simply by material activities. Such activities have to be spiritualized, just by like a fire iron is made red hot. A fire iron is made red hot, and thereby the action of the fire begins. Similarly, the material conception of a thing is at once changed as soon as it is put into service of the Lord. So, though it is matter, it becomes spiritual. Like iron, though it is black and you put it in fire, it becomes red. It also becomes fire. So, that is the secret of spiritual success. We should not try to lord over the material nature, nor should we reject material things. Yeah. Arjuna was rejecting material things. That is not the solution. Neither enjoying matter is a solution. Neither rejecting matter is a solution, nor enjoying matter is a solution for our suffering. What is the remedy for our suffering? To use matter in Krishna's service. So one is enjoying, that is also giving trouble. Other is rejecting, that is also giving trouble. So neither you should enjoy matter, nor you should reject matter. You should use matter in Krishna's service. The best way is to make the best use of the bad bargain is to see everything in relation to Supreme Lord. Everything is an emanation of Supreme Spirit, and by his inconceivable power, he can convert spirit into matter, matter into spirit. Therefore, a material thing, so-called, actually there is nothing material for Krishna, is at once turned into spiritual force by the great will of the Lord. The necessary condition for such a change is to employ so-called matter in service of the spirit. That is the way to treat our material disease and elevate ourselves to the spiritual plane, where there is no misery, no lamentation, no fear. When everything is thus employed in the service of the Lord, we can experience that there is nothing except the Supreme Brahman. Vedic mantra says, everything is Brahman. Sarvam kalvidam Brahman. So, example is given. That is, one substance causes disease, Other substance removes the same disease. But both the substances are the same source, that is milk. Milk taken as paid or ghee causes indigestion, and the milk taken as dahi will cure the disease. Just by giving up karma, you're not going to solve the problem. That is what is discussed. Then goes further, 34th verse. Evam rinam kriya yoga सर्वे संसृष्टि हेतवः तयेवात्मा विनाशाय कल्पन्ते कल्पिता परे कल्पन्ते कल्पिता परे एवं नृणाम क्रिया योगा. In this way, nृणाम, all the people, kriya yoga, they practice kriya yoga. Sarve samsrishti hetavah. These activities, the same activities which are samsrishti hetavaha, which cause the bondage, became what? Ta eva atma vinashaya. Ta eva atma. Here atma vinashaya means here atma refers to the bondage. Vinashaya, that becomes the cause of destruction of bondage. Kalpante kalpita pare. And this has been very nicely established by the transcendentalist. Kalpante kalpita pare. That you offered the karma to the Supreme Lord, the same karma which was a bondage, which was trouble for you, bondage for you, it becomes happiness. It becomes a cause of liberation for you. Okay. We'll just read the last paragraph. The summary is that one has to, first of all, seek association of pure devotees. Now, he's giving the entire, Prabhupada gives the entire essence, whatever Narada has spoken to Vyasa till now. Or in other words, what all the instructions given by Vedantist to Narada. The summary is that one has to, first of all, seek association of pure devotees who are not only learned Vedantists but self-realized souls and enlightened pure devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In that association, neophyte must surrender, renders loving service, and mentally without, physically, mentally without reservation. The service attitude induces great souls, most will bestowing mercy unto them, which injects the neophyte with all the transcendental qualities of pure devotee, Shraddha. And gradually it develops into a strong attachment of hearing and trance, then spriha. And then they come to the platform of practicing Krishna consciousness. And in this way, Srila Prabhupada goes on describing each stage. And after the relation is ascertained by establishment of eternal position, pure devotion service to the Lord begins gradually developing a perfect knowledge of personality of Godhead beyond the purview of impersonal Brahman and localized Paramatma. By such Purushottama Yoga, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, one is made perfect even during the present corporal existence, and one exhibits all good qualities of the Lord, the highest percentage. Such is the gradual development of association of pure devotees. That means he becomes Jivan Mukta. Yasya Haredasya Karmana Manasagira Nikhilasu Vivastasu Jivan Muktasya Uchate. Now, this verse, Evam Rinam Kriya Yoga. Kriya Yoga, Kriya means activities. There are different kinds of activities, we all know. From the Bhagavad Gita, in the Karma Nivadhikara verse, Srila Prabhupada talks about it. There's something called Kamya Karma, there comes Nitya Karma, and there is also something called Naimittika Karma. And also there are certain karmas which are done without any desire. Of course, if you can count that also. So whatever karma, that is kamya, that is naimittika, that is nitya, and which are nishkama karma, all these things just offer to the Lord. When you do that, then the Lord takes care of everything. That is what is the meaning of the word karma, kriya yoga. Next, 35th verse. Edatra kriyate karma bhagavat paritoshanam jnanam yattad adinam hi bhakti yoga samanvitam.
तत्र क्रियते कर्म भगवत्परिपोषणम्
So that karma which yed artra kriyate karma bhagavat paritoshanam. Bhagavat paritoshanam means that activity which has been done for the pleasure of the Lord. What happens? Jnanam yattat adhinam hi bhakti yoga samanvitam. Bhakti yoga samanvitam. That jnana rises in the heart of the devotee. Yat atra kriyate karma bhagavat paritoshanam. Just enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. Other told renounce, renounce, renounce. But now it is Krishna who came and the Bhagavad Gita harmonized both jnana karma samanvaya. Like Shankaracharya, he proposed jnana, renunciation. Other way, there was one more kind of people called karmimamsas. They said, karma, become grihastha, do your duties. To such an extent, there was a debate between Shankaracharya and Mandana Mishra, who was a propounder of, not propounder, a propagator of Karamimamsa philosophy. There was one place called Mandala. Even still today, that place is there, Mandala. And in that place, Mandana Mishra was there. Because of Mandana Mishra, the place called Mandala, it is the bank of river Narmada. That is a place where Kartivirajana was there. And nearby also place of Jamadagni Rama, Jamadagni, birthplace of Parashurama is also there. So in the debate between Shankara and Mandana Mishra, the judge was Mandana Mishra's wife. So she was there behind in the room near the door, sitting and hearing the debate. The debate was like this. Shankara would argue on how the import of all Vedanta is, in Vedanta is more important. The Vedas are talking about only renunciation. And now on Mandana Mishra, he is talking about Vedas give instructions of duty, so duty is more important. Now Shankara is talking about giving up duty is more important. In this way, both are argument. In that argument, the stakes were, if Shankara would be defeated, then Shankaracharya should get married. And if Mandana Mishra would be defeated, Mandana Mishra would take sannyas. And who is the judge? Mandana Mishra's wife. Yeah, what an argument. Of course, at the end, Mandana Mishra, he was defeated. I'm just telling this thing, not because jnana is more important than karma. It is because this argument was going on, and some people proved, no, duty is more important because it's something practical. But it's Krishna who came in the Bhagavad Gita and then told everyone that it is not karma important or jnana important. Karma and jnana has to be taken both together. That is why it is called jnanam yaddat adhinam hi. So it is depending on knowledge you act. So this is harmonized in Bhagavad Gita and also in the Upanishad, Ishavasya Upanishad. If you see the first verse or mantra says that Ishavasyavidam sarvam yatkinjit jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena punjita magridak kasya svidhanam. Tyaktena means what? give up. And then what? Bunjita, enjoy. Give up and enjoy. What is the meaning of giving up? Giving up your attachment. Enjoy means what? You work for the Lord. In this way, karma and all this matter can be purified. And this is how we can go back or become qualified to go back home, back to God. So it's called Jnana Karma Samanvaya. And in the next mantra, Kurvan evehe karmani jijivishesha tadgumsama. You live for 100 years, no problem. But how? Do your karma. By doing your karma, you live for 100 years. But what kind of karma? It should be based on what? That everything belongs to the Lord. Isha vashamidam sarvam yat kinchit jagatyam jagat. The Lord has entered into every aspect of this world. So you cannot separate knowledge from activity. You cannot separate activity from knowledge. So jnana karma samanvaya, that is what is being taught here. That the knowledge generated from the karma, the knowledge, karma based on that knowledge. So very interesting, you see. You act based on that knowledge, and by action, your knowledge is realized. So, basis is knowledge. Based on the knowledge, you go on acting, and these actions will reveal this knowledge, make you, this knowledge will be revealed. Now, Srila Prabhupada in the Bhagavad Gita says, knowing that I am not this body, I am spirit soul is not enough. Now, if you see the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna initially speaks about, I am not this body, I am spirit soul. He gives us knowledge of the soul. Now, if somebody has heard that, oh, knowledge of the soul, and he goes on in the next day morning, in the Mangala Arati, he is chanting, I am not this body, I am spirit soul. I am not this body, I am spirit soul. I am not this body, I am spirit soul. I am not this body, I am spirit soul. I am not this body. 16 rounds of chanting this mantra, I am not this body, I am spirit soul. Will you realize something? No. That is why Krishna spoke about karma yoga. Why he spoke about karma yoga? To realize the knowledge that I am not this body, I am spirit soul, you need to act on the platform of that knowledge. It is the actions which give the realization of that knowledge. And the action should be based on knowledge. So in this way, you have knowledge, action, and again realization of the knowledge. Now, very nice example is given in the first canto, second chapter itself. This comes. The connection between knowledge and activity, jnana and karma. Now, you have a piece of wood. There is fire in it, but you cannot see. And you have this body. Inside the body, the soul is there, but you cannot see. You're comparing this body to a piece of wood. Now, you take another piece of wood and then you go on gharshan, rubbing against it. Then what happens? The unseen fire comes out of the wood. In the same way, this body is also like the wood. And you rub this body against another body, that is Krishna. That means you are engaging this body in service of Krishna. Body means both glass body and subtle body. Then what happens? By the service, fire comes out. Now, when you are rubbing the two wood together with each other, then the fire comes out. What does the fire do? The fire burns the wood. In the same way, when you engage this body in Krishna's service, fire comes out. What is that fire? Transcendental knowledge. And what does the transcendental knowledge do? It burns your karma, which is the cause of your next body. So, this is a very interesting example to see jnana karma samanvaya. Of course, this is all studied in the Bhagavad Gita. That is why I am not elaborating too much about it. So this is what was spoken to Narada by those sages. Yadatra kriya kriyate karma bhagavad paritoshanam jnanam yattaditam hi bhakti yoga samanvitam. Bhakti yoga samanvitam. Do it all. Bhakti yoga samanvitam. as has been spoken before, Naishkarmya Achyutabhavarjitam Nashobhate Jnanavalam Rinachanam. Even though knowledge, which is Naishkarmyam, which is giving liberation, but if it is having Achyutabhavarjitam, there is no devotion. What is the use? No, it's no use. So since Jnana devoid of Bhakti will not lead any realization. And karma without bhakti also has no value. So it is a bhakti which actually does the jnana karma samanvaya, the harmonization of jnana and karma, which has been a bone of contention. Which is superior? Jnana is superior, karma is superior. Right from the time when Brahma was born, Brahma told the four Kumaras, my dear four Kumaras, you get into karma. You have to do creation. Then four Kumaras told, we don't want to. We just want to be children only. No lust, no anger. We just want to have jnana. Brahma was into karma. Brahma became angry. Daksha's son. You go anywhere in these two. Even in the organization, you find there brahmacharis and grahasthas. Immature brahmacharis and grahasthas who are not studied scripture properly. These are learned. They are very matured. They think so. Because they know hundreds of slokas, brahmacharis. And grahasthas, they are very sincere, dedicated to the organization, dedicated to Guru Maharaj. Both are fighting. Because they are learned, immature people. They are ignorant, hard workers. Because there is no bhakti, what is happening? There is a fight. The grahastha says, these brahmacharis, what they are doing? Whole day doing nothing. We are working hard. And the brahmacharis say, what grahasthas are doing? They are ignorant sense enjoyers. With wife and children, really thinking of making money. It's foolishness. Why? Because they are not intelligent. That is why Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita uses a very interesting verse. I'll stop this topic by this words. What is that word? Karmanyaha karma pashyet. Akarmani cha karmayaha. Sabuddhiman manasyeshu. Krishna karma krit. So in this verse, sa buddhiman manasyeshu. Sa buddhiman manusya. Who is that buddhiman? Who is that intelligent person? That intelligent person is the one who is able to see action in inaction. This is inaction. So if somebody is able to see action in inaction, and somebody is able to see inaction in action, that person, these two people are intelligent. Now, who is doing action? The grahasthas are doing action. Who are doing inaction? Brahmacharis or renunciates. So when the brahmacharis are renunciates, they are seeing the action of the grahasthas. They are supposed to see inaction in them. Oh, he's working so hard and using that money in spreading Krishna consciousness. Without his donation, do you think the temple would have been built? And in spite of all the responsibilities, showing his face on Sunday. Oh, one day he come for Mangalarti, a big sacrifice. To appreciate his inaction in his actions. On the other hand, you have the brahmachari who has given up his father, mother, job, just jumping up and down in front of the deity, raising his hands. So what a grahastha should see? Not that irresponsible, doing nothing whole day, nothing. What responsibility they have? No. See, so difficult to give up work. So difficult to give up parents. Just see that in his inaction, there is action. What is that action? Jumping up and down like a monkey in front of the deity. Oh, how fortunate is he? So this is called Jnana Karma Samanvaya, the harmonization of Jnana and Karma. This aspect of knowledge was also spoken to Narada before they were leaving. Next day morning they are leaving. Before that, whatever things regarding karma, jnana, everything was spoken by the sages to the Narada. So now we stop here for a small question answer session and then continue with the rest of the class. Syllables, how we can recite them in different meters so to relish them and also please the Lord and devotees. We hear Raghunath Bhatta Goswami used to recite the words beautifully. And also, is there a technical or emotional reason why suddenly the speaker changes from 8-syllable words to 11 or 12 syllable back to 8 syllable? There is a science called Chanda Vijnana, Chandas. Unfortunately, it is not being taught to our children, but in every language, the Chandas are taught. Now, there are unlimited Chandas. I don't know which place are you from, even in Marathi also, if you're a Maharashtrian, especially in practically all the South Indian languages. In poetry, there's something called Chanda. There are some aksharas which are categorized as lagu. Lagu means light, like ga. It is very light. There is bha. It is heavy. That is called guru. Lagu, guru. Now, you have to mark each akshara either as lagu or guru. Lagu or guru. And then categorize 3, make sets of them. And then you get a particular sutra, a formula. What chanda is it? It is a science which has been taught. It is an important part of grammar. Somehow it has been lost. Because of that, we find a lot of problem. And there are also within that there are Veda. There are some kind of modifications. Each chanda has got different tunes to it, different variations to it. So these are all very nicely taught to the children who study in the Gurukul now. If you can do that, it will be very nice. But somehow, what to do? It is not there. But in our childhood, when we used to read Telugu language, in that this was taught. Chanda was taught. Shardula Vikriditam. There is Anushtup Chanda, and there are some chandas, Brihati Chanda. Like that, there are so many different chandas which are there, and it's a big science. I cannot just explain the entire science because I myself are not so much conversant with the science of chanda. Definitely, there in one chanda there are many variations. Sometimes instead of 8 syllables there will be 9 syllables. Sometimes instead of 8 syllables there will be 7 syllables. They are called the variations within the chanda. So, as we know, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami was very he used to recite the Bhagavatam in 3 different tunes. So, of course, there will be a time when all the ISKCON devotees, they will be trained in those chandas. And we should actually train ourselves and train our children in reciting these chandas in proper meter. It will be nice if somebody can do that. We are not yet matured in doing so. But time will come when it will happen. So, next. And also, is there a technical or emotional reason why suddenly? Yes. For describing a Siddhanta, Anushtup Chanda is best. For describing uh, a scene or describing a story, Shardula Vikriditam is best, which is one of the variation in Brihati Chanda. So certain aspects of literature are in such a way that you should feel that the horses are running even though you don't know the meaning of it. Of course, it is all coming in the category uh, of, uh, of literature, Sanskrit literature. Uh, we will be working on it, or some devotee should get together, work on it, and then make proper pronunciation, because this proper pronunciation has a impact on our consciousness, and it is easy to become Krishna conscious if we train our tongue to recite these verses properly. What to speak of verses? People cannot even recite the alphabet, the swaras and vyanjanas. Even the swaras are not chanted properly, recited properly. Hmm. It is not phonics, it is called siksha. Even siksha is not there. They cannot even say properly. It is, they say anything comes out of the tongue. They don't know the difference between like there is ka, ka. The first ka, it should have a nasal touch to it. It's ka. You see, you can find the nasal touch to it. And ka, pa. That pa, it has to have nasal touch. Another one is pa. People are saying pa, fa. What is this fa? There is no fa there. Fal lekya. It is not fal. It is phala. That became fal. What is this fa? There is nothing like fa. So because of Urdu mixed Hindi, because of Hindi mixed Marathi, and especially you teach children A, B, C, D, ding dong bell, instead of teaching them phonetics. Once somebody learns English in their childhood, very difficult to learn or pronounce Sanskrit and even their own mother tongue, because English is low class. And if you teach low class thing initially, then high class thing will be difficult later. If you teach high class thing initially, low class thing will be very easy later. Not to criticize English, but it is that is how it is. You don't have to prove it. Everybody knows it. Anyhow, I don't want to talk much about it because it is pertaining to some other research which I'm trying to do these days. Okay. Prabhuji said Narada tells his own story to Vyasa to bring out the glories of bhakti. Can you please tell us about your journey of studying SB, especially in your initial days, challenges faced, and how you overcame them? Oh, my own story. Oh, I was very fortunate to be a marine engineer. Not because I got a lot of salary, lot of money. It is because you're away from the house and you have 8 hours work, and I was not very good at my work. And once you are in the ship, they cannot find any replacement for you. They have to manage you. So they knew very well, if I do something, I'll do some mistake. So they told you, just keep watch, that's all. And you best is you don't work. So somehow my bad karmas became good karmas, in the sense that I got a lot of time to study in the ship. Actually, whatever studies which I've done after joining ISKCON is much less than what I studied in the 3 years. Practically 8 hours of study of Bhagavatam. I was completely drowned in Bhagavatam. When I used to hear the sound of the generator, I used to recite verses. That was it. I was intoxicated with Bhagavatam. Of course, the most horrible situation, no devotee association. The most horrible situation, no food with no prasadam. It is actually, I used to take dal and filter it because it has onion garlic in it. Filter and dal rice. Maximum my food was at that time, still remember those days. It was only some bread and honey. There was nothing you could eat. Such a horrible situation. But in spite of that, I consider this is the best time in my life because it's a time where totally undisturbed. Nobody. I am there and Bhagavatam is there. Krishna is there in the form of Bhagavatam. So this is how I did not take challenge as challenge. Every challenge became, I took the challenge as a favor unto me. My inability to really do good work, uh, that became a all the senior engineers, everybody used to tell me, "You are useless." I was so happy to hear. Oh, because I'm useless, you are giving me time to study Bhagavatam. Even the lower class people, the engineers who were there, they were telling me that every day they see my face and they scold me. You don't know how you got your degree of engineering. Then I used to take it as a opportunity uh, for getting time so that I can chant. Because whatever I used to do, it was a problem. Uh, they had a problem with it. Somehow, uh, I took everything, all challenges are not a challenges at all. It's a favor done by Krishna. Now, second point you wrote, what helped you the most? What helped me the most is the quality time with me alone with Bhagavatam, with no father, no mother, no wife, no children, no friends, nothing. It was water, water everywhere, and just room alone. Only sound is the engine room sound. And those days I remember hours and hours sitting in front of the Bhagavatam and reading Bhagavatam. So that was the thing which helped me the most. So everybody has to find some time where you're alone with Bhagavatam, with no other disturbance. That helps you most. Have you also studied Sanskrit grammar, etc.? Oh no, no, I'm not. I want to do a little bit at least. I'll, I'm getting encouraged from you because you asked a question, or many people ask such question. So I want to do that little bit, at least something, so that I can inspire the next generation, the children, to study it. The one day we want to see uh, our children when they grow up, they speak Bhagavatam in Sanskrit. They give a Sanskrit lecture on Bhagavatam. The Sanskrit is very nice, wonderful language, and it is sattvika. We want to establish a Gurukul where at least they'll be speaking in Sanskrit. It is not something very difficult. It is the most technical, very profound, wonderful language, and we have branded it as something very difficult. But no, it is not. Uh, it is not. Actually, if you teach a child right from childhood whichever language, he'll become expert in that. But only thing is, we are more interested in our children reciting rhymes in English rather than verses in Sanskrit. Born in India, born in a Brahmin family also, uh, people are thinking, oh, my child is speaking English. Uh, hey, your child is born in this land. All the scriptures are in Sanskrit. Sanskrit, Bengali. After being a Gaudiya Vaishnava, we should learn some Bengali also. Bhaktivinoda Thakur told, there will be a time when the whole world will learn Bengali to read Chaitanya Charitamrita. Hmm. Okay, not much of personal questions. Any other advice for SB students? You continue your Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav very nicely, and memorize the verses as many as possible. That is the advice which I can give. Prabhuji 1.5.25, the first word is second line Sukrut. Only once. This same word comes in many other places like Gita, Mahatmya also, Sukrut, Gita Amritam, Snanam, Samsara, Malanashanam. Also in Ramayana during Vibhishana surrender, Sakrudeva, Prapannosmi, Tavasmi. Can you please explain the meaning once only? So 1.5.25. So if you go to that verse, how is being translated? One word, depending on the context, will have many, many meanings. Sakrit, yeah, Sukrut, you written like that. Of course, in English, you spell in a different way. So let me open this verse. Uchishtalepa anumodito dvijay Sakrit smabhunjay. It is little. Sakrideva prapannosmi tavasmi tyachate. It comes up many, many times. Little bit. Even though you do little bit of devotion, little bit of surrender, that gives you a long-term effect. It is not lost. So this is the meaning of the word Sakriteva prapannosmi. Sakritmas only once or little. These are the meanings of the word Sakrit. Once or little. That is a word which has been used to describe the potency of devotional service. Like you have in the very first chapter, when the sages of Naimisharanya, they say that Sanna Sandarshito Datra, Dustaram Nistitishtam, Kalim Sattvaram Pumsan, Pranadarai Vardavam. Oh, Sutta Goswami, just by having your darshan once, that is enough. Because after taking bath in Ganga many, many times, Swardunyapo Anusevaya, you become purified. Sakrit Gitamrita Snanam, Sansara Malanashanam, little bit of Gitamrita Smana, or darshan of the devotee, or even once or little. Sakrit actually means little, but in the context it become one. So that is describing the glory of devotee and devotion. Now, does studying Sanskrit grammar really help in understanding the deep meaning of the verses? I have done intermediate Sanskrit. How important is it to study advanced Sanskrit grammar? Hope it helps in understanding SB nicely. Definitely. We want devotees to have a good understanding of Sanskrit grammar. It all depends on your inclination and your age also. And if your age is a secondary factor, your desire, inclination, yes, definitely. Of course, you are become like 45, 50 already. You got a lot of responsibilities. Don't do a half-hearted attempt. That is my advice. All these years, people say, why you not done? I did not do because of many reasons. Of course, there may not be reasons, they're only excuses. But I always had the fear that I should not do a half-hearted attempt. But I would give you a small guideline. That much amount of Sanskrit by which you can read the commentaries of Acharyas directly and you're able to understand. That much, if you're able to do, that will be nice enough. So, I know very well if you are from Andhra, intermediate Sanskrit, I have also done, but that is of no use, not much use. Because mostly either. So, even I had to Sanskrit intermediate, but all the paper, 80% was in English only. Wrote the entire story in English. You don't have to write in Sanskrit. Only some grammar which you mug up and vomit. That's what I can say. Next, it is said in Bhagavad Gita 6.41 that fallen devotee is given birth in Suchinam Shrimatam Gehe. That is high birth and aristocratic birth. But in 1.8.26, Janma Ishwari Shri Viryadamana Madapuman, The above verse says that high birth aristocracy is an obstacle. Now, how is 6.41 a benediction, though 1.8.16 says obstacle? Good question. Like, this is called Samanvaya. Before I answer the question, this questioning shows that you are in line with understanding the scriptures in a proper way. How do you understand the scripture? Is by raising contradiction. You raise a contradiction and resolve the contradiction, and that is called scripture study of scripture. And that is how all the scriptures are presented. They are always presented with contradictions, and ultimately there is a resolution of the resolving the contradiction. Samanvayadikarana. How does Vyasa describe the absolute truth in the first chapter of the Vedanta Sutra? Is by Samanvayadikarana. All the confusions which are existing in the Upanishads, they are erased in the first chapter of the Vedanta Sutra, which is also known as Samanvayadikarana. Sometimes there is ether, Akasha mentioned in the Upanishads. There is a confusion. How? Whether is this Akash referring to the Supreme Lord, or this Akasha is referring to the Panchamahabhutas. Now, Vyasa in the Vedanta Sutras, he harmonizes and says this Akasha mentioned in this verse of Upanishad is actually referring to the Supreme Lord. How? This is how it is. So, it is a very nice way to raise a contradiction, and without taking either side of it, you resolve it. So, by this, the absolute truth becomes as bright as the sun in front of you. Of course, absolute truth is as bright as the sun only, but in front of us, because of our consciousness being covered by the modes of nature, that is hidden, it is covered. So, the reduction of the influence of the modes of nature happens. The cloud of consciousness, which is like a cloud which is covering our consciousness, that dilutes because of manana. Manana means contemplation. And the contemplation happens when there is contradiction raised and harmonization is done. Otherwise, it will be like, go on, like, but it doesn't work. Go on speaking, go on hearing, go on hearing. It doesn't work like that. You have to have this contradiction, and there is harmony. In Prabhupada's purpose, he uses this technique practically every now and then to bring out the clarity of the subject matter. Now, Suchinam Shrimatam Gehe Yoga Prashto Vijayate. He is actually talking about what is the subject there. The subject is to explain that whatever little advancement has been done, that will continue in the next life. That is one thing. That is the subject there. And what is the subject there? Is 6 point, that is in Kunti's prayers, Kunti Mani's prayers 1.8.26. The subject is not one who has got Janma, Aishwarya, Shuta, Shri is unfortunate. The subject is Janma, Aishwarya, Shuta, Shri bir Yedamana Madaha. That Mada is unfortunate. So there is nothing wrong in being born in a Brahmin family. But there is something wrong in thinking that you are a Brahmin. There's nothing wrong in being very rich. But there's something wrong in thinking that I am rich. And there is nothing wrong in being beautiful. It is good that if you are beautiful, you can dance for Krishna, and Krishna will be attracted to your beauty. But if you think that I am beautiful, that is the problem. The problem is not in being rich. The problem is in thinking that I am rich. The problem is not singing for the Lord. The problem is in thinking that I am a singer. Identification, that is ahankara. So, there the subject matter is glorification of devotional service. It is na neha vikramanashosti. That verse is being described there as a practical example. And here, ahankara has been described. So, if you are a yogi and somehow it so happened that you fell down. And why the fell down happened? Because of ahankara. In the next life, you will be born in a aristocratic family or in a learned family, by which what happens? You will continue your devotional service with an understanding I should not be puffed up anymore because I was puffed up. Ahankara is the problem. So, in both the verses, uh, if you see, once fallen, once bitten, you are twice careful. So, Krishna wants you to be careful. Uh, and now you may say, why the devotee is made to be born in an aristocratic family and a Suchinam Brahmin family? There are advantages of being born in a Brahmin family because there will be a natural attraction for austerity, study of scriptures, inquisitiveness. Some basic natural attraction will be there. And Srimatam Gehe, because you're a rich person, sadhus will come to your house, Bhakti Vikshan Devi. Then the sadhus will speak something about Krishna consciousness to you. And you don't have to work a lot like a donkey to make your livelihood. So you're Srimatam. So you get sadhus association, most likely to be getting sadhus association. And not only that, you will get, you are free. You don't have to work hard. You can hear whenever you want. You can just come and hear Bhagavatam. You can serve the temple. You can spend more time in serving the temple. If you're doing a naukri, you have to go to office at 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock. You have to leave your house at 7:30. If you're your own business, you set your business nicely, and then until 12 o'clock you are there doing some service in the temple. You can come back home. You come back home early. You can sleep early. Do whatever you want. Of course, there are so many technicalities also involved in this understanding of these verses. Essentially, this is what is to be understood. Now, going further, what is it? Question by Vijay Krishna Prabhu. How to balance between jnana? How to balance between jnana and karma? How? The standard question everybody asks, especially in grihasthas and brahmacharis. There are two different questions. If you're a brahmachari, then the natural question that comes to your mind whenever your Guru Maharaj or senior devotee comes, when you go for asking question, Prabhuji, please tell me, should I do my sadhana or should I do my seva? Seva versus sadhana. Now, the first ignorance is you remove the question from your mind. Seva versus sadhana. These two are not antagonistic. One supports the other. One, jnana supports karma, karma supports jnana, and in this way both of them advance. In the same way, seva and sadhana support each other. You have to see seva in sadhana, sadhana in seva. Same verse relating to that. Karmani ha karma pashyet. So, tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Sevaya pariprashnena. Like when you eat food, what is the use if you don't digest it? For that you have to work hard. When you work hard, then only the food will be digested. In the same way, the sadhana what you have done, it will be digested and realized when you're doing seva. Sadhana is to actually enhance the quality of your seva. Seva is to enhance the quality of your sadhana. In this way, there is no question of any contradiction. If you're a grihastha, Prabhuji, what to do? Should I, what about my responsibilities and my own spiritual life? Responsibilities versus spiritual life. Study of scriptures. Now, for them, the answer is very simple. As the time goes by, you have to reduce your conditional duties and increase your constitutional duties. If you don't plan for it, then death is planning for you. Every grihastha should have proper planning of how to increase the conditional, how to increase the constitutional duties and how to decrease the conditional duties. Otherwise, the conditional duties, they go on increasing. You actually increase it more and more, thinking that, oh, I want this. And you are 55 years now. Now still, by the time you are 55, 60, still you are hankering that I need to search for another job. I need to start another business. Oh, I need to take care of my grandson's schooling. Gone. Life is over. Next life only you will have some hope. So the right time to plan is when you are when you are 25, 30, 40, maximum 35, 40. You plan out so that you're able to withdraw yourself from gradually withdraw yourself and increase your constitutional duties, which are direct hearing and chanting, sadhana, seva in the temple, responsibilities in the temple, and gradually decrease your conditional duties, wife and children, their education, their business, their marriage, all these things, house, EMIs, and all these things, they're reduced now. How? 20 years are enough for that mess. Wow, more than 20 years means you're not intelligent. I don't say you're a fool, but intelligent, not intelligent. Intelligent means somehow wind up, gradually. So stop here. Okay. Question in connection to the previous answer. So how the verse Harishe Taddanam Shanai is to be explained. If high birth was to help a devotee, of course, this Harishe Taddanam Shanai is a very specific purpose. It is a devotee who realizes that Lord is taking away and Krishna does operation. Prabhupada realized that it is Krishna who is taking away all my wealth so that I can surrender to Krishna. It is the same Krishna who gave wealth to Prabhupada again later. So it is a special mercy of Krishna. Not that every time when somebody loses wealth, it is mercy of Krishna. When the losing of the wealth, when it leads to surrender to Krishna, that means Krishna's plan is there. Okay, so we stop here now for now, and then we go for the further few verses. That is text number. Where were we? 37. 37. Yes. No, that is 36. Sorry. कुर्वाणयत्र कर्माणि भगवचिकित्सया सकृत् गृह्णन्ति गुणनामानि कृष्णानुस्मरन्ति च 36. 1 minute. Okay. So, kurvanaha yatra karmani bhagavat chikitsaya sakrit grinanti gunanamani krishnanu smaranti cha. While performing duties according to the order of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God, one constantly remembers him, his name, and his qualities. Now, just see, we are talking about Jnana Karma Samanvaya. I intentionally kept this verse at the end because to begin this session, because in this verse there is summarization of what all has been discussed after Narada has attained prema, that is about karma and jnana. Now, summary is this instruction where Krishna has given in the Bhagavad Gita also. He says, Mamanuspara yuddhacha tasma sarveshu kaleshu mamanuspara, anuspara, sadhana, yuddha, activity, both. So, kurvana yatra karmani. While performing the duties, how we should do as a karmani bhagavat, for as instruction given by the Lord, bhavat sikshaya, and you go on performing your activities according to the instructions of the Lord. At the same time, what you should do? Grinanti gunanamani, do your sadhana. And Krishna anusmaranti cha. That is what is described. Now, I'll read the purport. A long purport, but interesting purport. An expert devotee to the Lord can mold his life. Just now we spoke about molding life, planning, molding his life in a way that while performing all kinds of duties, either of this or the next life, he can constantly remember the Lord's name, fame, qualities, etc. The order of the Lord is distinctly there in the Bhagavad Gita. One should work only for the Lord in all spheres of life. In every sphere of life, the Lord should be situated as the proprietor. According to the Vedic rites, even in the worship of some demigods like Indra, Brahma, Saraswati, and Ganesha, the system is that in all circumstances, the representation of Vishnu must be made in as Igneshwara, or the controlling power of such sacrifices. It is recommended that a particular demigod be worshipped by a particular purpose, but still the presence of Vishnu is compulsory in order to make the function proper. We know in India we have this Ganesh Chaturthi and different Satyanarayana Puja and all this. At the end, what they say, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. They do this thing. That means what? Krishna has to be there. Now, apart from such Vedic duties, even the ordinary dealings, for example, household affairs, the business, profession, must be considered. The result of all activities must be given to the supreme enjoyer, Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has declared himself to the supreme enjoyer of everything, the supreme proprietor of every planet, the supreme friend of all beings. No one else but Lord Krishna can claim to be the proprietor of everything within this creation. The pure devotee remembers this constantly and is doing so. He repeats the transcendental name, form, and qualities of the Lord, which means that he is constantly in touch with the Lord. The Lord is identical with his name, fame, and etc. And therefore, to be associated with his name, fame, etc., constantly means actually to associate with the Lord. Now, going further, the major portion of our monetary income, not less than 50%, must be spent to carry out the orders of Lord Krishna. Not only should we give the profit of our earnings to the cause, but we must also arrange to preach this cult of devotion to others, because that is also one of the orders of the Lord. The Lord definitely says that no one is more dear to him than one who is always engaged in preaching work of Lord's name and fame all over the world. The scientific discoveries of the material world can also be equally engaged in carrying out the orders of the Lord. He wants the message of Bhagavad Gita to be preached amongst his devotees. It may not be so done amongst those who have no credit of austerities, charity, education, etc. Therefore, Satan must go on to convert unwilling men to become his devotees. Lord Chaitanya has taught a very simple method in this connection. He has taught the lesson of preaching the transcendental message through singing, dancing, and refreshment. As much 50% of one's income may be spent for this purpose. In this fallen age of quarrel and dissension, if only the leading and the wealthy persons of the society agree to spend 50% of their income in the service of the Lord, as it is taught by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there is absolute certainty of converting this hell of Pandominium to the transcendental abode of the Lord. No one will disagree to partake in the function where good singing, dancing, and refreshments are administered. Everyone will attend such a function, and everyone is sure to feel individually the transcendental presence of the Lord. This alone will help the attendant associate with the Lord, and thereby purify himself in spiritual realization. The only condition for successfully executing such spiritual activities is that they must be conducted under the guidance of a pure devotee who is completely free from all mundane desires, fruitive activities, and dry speculation about the nature of the Lord. No one has to discover the nature of the Lord. It is already spoken by the Lord himself in the uh, Bhagavad Gita especially, and in all other Vedic literatures generally. We have simply to accept them in toto and abide by the orders of the Lord that will guide us to the path of perfection. One can attain in his own position. No one has to change his position, especially in the age of variegated difficulties. The only condition is that one must give up the habit of dry speculation, aimed at becoming one with the Lord. And after giving up such lofty, puffed up vanities, one may very submissively receive the orders of the Lord in Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam from the lips of the bona fide spiritual devotee, whose qualification is mentioned above, that will make everything successful without doubt. So I read this purport entirely because it gives a kind of a summary of what has been discussed till now. So now we know in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Yat karoshi dashnasi yat juhoshi tadasyat yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurishva madarpanam. So this is actually the essence of Karma Yoga. Of course, there are also two different levels of Karma Yogas. That details can be discussed sometime else. I don't want to get into the whole details of that particular point. Now, Jnana and Karma has been described at various levels in different ways in this particular section. After after Narada attained Prema, and the sages are leaving next day morning, and before that they thought, let us discuss about this particular subject, and they give the knowledge. And after giving this knowledge of Jnana Karma Samanvaya, then the sages, they are giving Narada one unique knowledge, unique subject, that is known as Pancharatra. So from now onwards, the sages are talking about Pancharatra. So let us see what Pancharatras are. Om Namo Bhagavate Tubhyam Vasudevaya Dhimahi Pradyumnaya Nuruddhaya Namah Shankarshanaya Cha. The typical Pancharatric mantra. Typical Pancharatric mantra now. So in this, the four forms are there. What are they? Pradyumna, Vasudeva, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and Sankarshana. Om Namo Bhagavate Tubhyam Vasudevaya Dhimahi Pradyumnaya Aniruddhaya Sankarshanaya Cha. Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. General order is this, but there is a change in this order. Of course, why it is so, we'll discuss that. Now, Srila Prabhupada starts the purport according to Pancharatra. Narayana is the primal cause of all expansions of Godhead. These are Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. But in this verse, the order is what? Vasudeva, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Sankarshana. Now, Vasudeva and Sankarshana are on the middle of the left and right. Pradyumna is on the right of Sankarshana, Aniruddha is on the left of Vasudeva. And thus four deities are situated. They are known as the four, and is the camp of Lord Krishna. That means Vyuha. Vyuha has been translated like this, that is the camp. This is a Vedic hymn or mantra beginning with Omkara Pranava, and thus the mantra is established with a transcendental chanting process, namely Om Namo Dhimahi. So these are the words used. Om Namaha Dhimahi. Om is Bijakshara, Namaha is Kriya, and Dhimahi is another Kriya. And in between you have Nama. Generally, there are three parts of a mantra, Vedic mantra. There are Vedic mantras, some Vedic mantras, they are borrowed into the Pancharatra. Now we should know the difference between the Vedic and Pancharatric system. The Vedic system is a Vedic system is very rigid, and Pancharatric system is based on the Vedic system, but it is been designed by the propounders of the Pancharatra like Shri, Narada, Lord Shiva, etc. Lord Shiva's major contribution is in Pancharatra, so that in the age of Kali, when people are not qualified to practice the Vedic system, they can take support of the Pancharatric system. Now, if you want to know what is Pancharatra, you're all ISKCON devotees. Number one, the deity worship which happens in our temples is Pancharatric system of deity worship. Number one. Number two, the initiation what you got is known as Pancharatric Diksha. It is not a Vedic Diksha, it is a Pancharatric Diksha. So these two things you should know, then you will have some connection with the word Pancharatra. Now, the purport is that any transaction, either in the field of fruity work or empiric philosophy, which is not ultimately aimed at transcendental realization of Supreme Lord, is considered to be useless. What has been discussed, whether it is knowledge or whether it is activity, karma. But if that is not connected to bhakti, if there is no samanvaya based on bhakti, then it is useless. Naradji has therefore explained the nature of unalloyed devotional service by his personal experience in development of intimacy between the Lord and living entity by general process progressive devotional activities. Such a progressive march of transcendental devotion for the Lord culminates in attainment of loving service of the Lord. That means prema. So this prema has got very taste that is called rasa. Now, going further. Now, the question which may be raised by the great Rishi headed by Shaunaka regarding the confidential part of Suta's achievement through the spiritual master is explained herein by chanting the hymn consisting of the 33 letters. And this mantra is addressed to 4 deities. The Lord of the plenary expansion. The central figure is Krishna because the plenary portion or his adistic camp, that is Yuha. The most confidential part of the instruction is that one should always chant and remember the glories of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of God, along with the different plenary portions expanded as Vasudeva, Sankarshna, Pradyumna, and Anuruddha. Those expansions are the original deities of all the other truths, namely either Vishnu Tattva or Shakti Tattvas. Now, if you see the last paragraph, Srila Prabhupada says that the confidential part of Suta's achievement to the spiritual master is explained herein. Who is Suta? Suta Goswami is not born in a Brahmin family. He is actually called Suta for that reason. That is why he is Vedabahya. Even if you see in the 4th chapter, except some portion of the Vedas, you explain to us. So now, how did he become qualified? It is because of the Pancharatric system. So this Pancharatric system is now explained. It is meant for those who are not born in the Brahmin families. And more importantly, everybody in the Kali Yuga has to go to this Pancharatric system. That is why Ramanuja came. Why Ramanuja came? To establish this Pancharatric system. And in the Pancharatric system, you have these 4 very nicely described. In the Pancharatric books, there are 2 sections. The first section deals with the forms of the Lord. And especially when they discuss the forms of the Lord, they talked about the 5 forms of the Lord, 5 levels. 5 levels of the forms of Para, Vyuha, Purusha, Antaryami, Archa. Para means the Lord is the Supreme Lord in the spiritual world, that is Narayana or Krishna. And his Vyuhas, Sankarshna, Pradyumna, Sankarshna, Vasudeva, Sankarshna, Pradyumna, and Anuruddha. And then you have Purusha, that is Mahavishnu lying down. And then you have Antaryami, who is everywhere, it's Paramatma. And ultimately you have Archa. So they say, if the conditioned souls want to worship the Lord, how can they worship the Lord? In Golok Vrindavan. Can you worship Krishna? Can you give milk to Krishna who is in Golok Vrindavan? You can, how will you feed milk to Krishna? Because that milk, if you want to feed to Krishna, the milk should be Sachitananda, it should be spiritual. Now, how can you feed to the viewers? It's impossible. Mahavishnu is lying down, Brahma, Anantakoti Brahmandas are coming from his sweat pores. If you want to offer Rajbhog, how big the plate should be? Just imagine, at least the plate should be as big as the Brahmanda. Not possible. The Lord is Antaryami. Can you serve him? You cannot serve Antaryami because he is there everywhere. If you want to give milk to Antaryami, who is everywhere, Krishna is everywhere, then you have to take a sprayer or you take a glass. Oh Lord, who is everywhere, take this. Not possible. That is why mercifully the Lord appears in the form of Archa to accept service from us. So, as already been described, the mantra has got 33 syllables. The Devata is the Lord, Supreme Lord himself, and he consists of 4 forms. Now, in this verse, Vasudeva, Sankarshna, Pradyumna, Anuruddha have been changed. There is a little bit change in the order. The reason is that the Chaturvyuha which has been described in this verse is not the Chaturvyuha of Vaikuntha. The Chaturvyuha of Dwaraka. In Dwaraka also you have Chaturvyuha. There the order is a little bit different. That is Krishna and Balaram. Vasudeva, Sankarshana. And then you have Krishna's son and grandson. Pradyumna is Krishna's son and Pradyumna's son is Aniruddha. In this way, Pradyumna and Aniruddha are kept next to Krishna, Vasudeva. And then ultimately Baladeva is kept in the land. That is Sankarshana. From Baladeva, Sankarsana comes. So Krishna, Krishna's son, Krishna's grandson, and ultimately Krishna's brother, that is Sankarsana as Baladeva. So in this way, Bhagavata, Pancharatra, when they combine, that is how we progress in spiritual life. And for the train to move, you require two patris, two rails. One is the Bhagavat Vidhi, other is the Pancharatri Vidhi. So now Narada is been given the knowledge of the Pancharatri Vidhi. Going further. Now, iti murtyabhidanena mantramurtim manmurtikam yajate yajna purusham sa samyak darshana puman. Iti murti abhidanena mantramurtim amurtikam. Mantramurtim amurtikam. What is this deity? Archa. Archa is nothing but the gross representation of mantra. Mantra murtim. If your mantra takes a form of the deity, that is how the deity is non-different from mantra. It becomes yantra. It is actually tantra. Sorry, the deity is actually tantra. Since we are all accustomed to seeing matter, touching matter, so what happens is the spirit enters matter and that becomes spiritual. So the deity becomes non-different from the mantra and the Supreme Lord is non-different from the mantra. So in this way, the deity is non-different from the mantra. So that is how iti murtim abhidanena, abhidana, murti is representation, the mantra. Using this mantra, which is actually four forms, one worships the deity. Yajate yajna purusham. You worship the deity. Sa samyak darshana puman. Sa samyak. What is the meaning of samyak? Samyak means complete, perfect. Darshana puman. That person is perfectly seen. How? By the mantra. So in the deity worship, the most important thing is the mantra. You worship the Lord by the mantras. That is why you are not allowed to worship the deities until you get the mantras, Mula mantras, the Gayatri mantras. And these mantras can be received by anybody born in any family. That is the speciality Pancharatra. Anyhow. Srila Prabhupada goes in the purport. Our present senses are all made of material elements, of course, and therefore we are imperfect in realizing the transcendental forms of Vishnu. So this body is made up of matter, the Lord is Sachidananda. How can this body, which is made up of matter, relate to the Lord which is Sachidananda? So what happens? That is why he is worshipped by sound representation, by a transcendental method of chanting. Now, even though it is sound, it is only sound for you because your consciousness is material. So the sound transforms into spiritual being called deity. That is how anything which is beyond the scope of experience of perfect, imperfect senses can be fully realized by a sound representation. A person transmitting sound from a far distant place can factually be experienced. If this is materially possible, why not spiritually? Now, this experience is not vague, impersonal experience. It is actually an experience of the transcendental personality of God who possesses the pure form of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. Now, in Amarkosha Sanskrit dictionary, the word Murti carries import in twofold meanings, namely form and difficulty. Therefore, Amurtikam is explained by Acharya Sri Vishwanath Thakur in the meaning as without difficulty. The transcendental form of eternal bliss and knowledge can be experienced by our original spiritual senses, which can be revived by chanting the holy mantras or transcendental sound representation. Such sound should be received from the transparent agency as bona fide spiritual master. And the chanting may be practiced by the direction of spiritual master. That will gradually lead us nearer to the Lord. This kind of worship is recommended in Pancharatric system, which is both recognized and authorized. The Pancharatric system has the most authorized codes of transcendental devotional service. Without the help of such codes, one cannot approach the Lord. Centered not by dry or philosophical speculation. Pancharatric system is both practical and suitable for the age of quarrel. Pancharatra is more important than Vedanta for the modern age. So, Samyak. So, this Pancharatric scriptures are Samyak. Why the word Samyak has been used? Because, especially in the age of Kali, those whose minds are totally engrossed in matter, they cannot perceive the transcendental unless the transcendental personality appears in the form of matter. You want to touch Krishna because you only know touching. So how can you touch Krishna? You can touch the deity. You want to see Krishna, so you can see the deity. So how the deity? The mantra has taken the form as a deity. So that is the essential understanding of this particular verse. Even the Vedanta, which is there, definitely describing the absolute truth. But in the age of Kali, it is very difficult to perceive the Vedanta unless one is trained in the Pancharatric system. So without Pancharatra, the Vedanta is only mental speculation. That is why Srila Prabhupada says Pancharatra is important in the Vedanta, especially in the age of Kali. Now, going further. Imam Swanigamam Brahman Aved Madanu Stitam Adan Me Jnanam Aishwaryam Swamin Bhavam Cha Keshava. Now, Narada is telling to Vyasa that they are now leaving. Before they left, they taught me Jnana. Idam Swa Nigamam Brahman Aveti Anustitam Adan Me Jnanam Aishwaryam Swamin Bhavam Cha Keshava. Now, apart from this Pancharatric knowledge, they gave me something very special. What is it? What is something which is byproduct, not special in one sense, byproduct. What is that? They gave me Jnanam. So what is that Jnana which is referred to here? This Jnana which is referred here is a knowledge of the absolute truth. And now they also gave me Jnanam Aishwaryam. And what is meaning Aishwarya here? It refers to the different opulences which are received by yoga, Ashtasiddhi. They also gave me this Swamin Bhavam Cha Keshava. And ultimately, they made me experience the topmost thing is actually the prema. So they gave me Krishna prema and then they left. Swamin Bhavam Cha Adat. They gave me this thing. Swamin Bhavam Cha Keshava. Adat means they gave. So the purport is self-evident now here. Go to the next verse. Then finish for the chapter. Tamapyad adabrashuta vishrutam vibho samapyate yena vidan vibhushitam prakhyati dukhay muhurarditatmanam sanklesha nirvana ushanti nanyatha. Sanklesha nirvanam ushanti nanyatha. Is now giving the instruction. That much powerful is bhakti, starting with mercy of devotees, ending with prema. That not only you get prema, whatever subsidiary things like jnana, karma, result of yoga, all the things you can attain. That is why you write one book. It's the third time instructing. First he told Samadhinam Anustitaha. Second time again he told, you write one book, which is meant for the class, which is followed by the mass. And the third time he's telling again, you please write one book. Tvam api abhadra shuta. You have written so many scriptures, you are very learned. Vishrutam. You describe the glories of the Lord now. Vibho. You address that Vibho. Oh, Supreme Lord. Now, samapyate yena vidam vibhushitam. By writing that one book, everybody will be satisfied. Now write that book. So please therefore describe the glories of the Lord activities which you have learned by your vast knowledge of Vedas. For that will satisfy the hankering of the learned people. Vidam vibhushitam prakyati dukkaihi. What happens at the same time? Not only they will be satisfied, all the dukkhas, mitigate the miseries of the common mass who are always suffering from the pranks, little pranks. And now, at last he says, Sanklesha Nirvana, Nirvana Ushanti Nanyatha. There is no other way. Again, he brings the same point. There are two people here, two kinds of people. One is Vidam, learned people. They enjoy. And when they enjoy this Bhagavatam which you have written, and they speak out the Bhagavatam, in others who are engrossed in so many material miseries, they'll hear to the Bhagavatam and they'll give up all the miseries. They'll also start relishing. In this way, he puts an end to this instruction or description of his own life. In the next chapter, Vyasa, he asks question, what happened after they left? Then the story continues. We'll read the purport and finish it. Sri Narad Muni, in the practical experience, definitely asserts that the prime solution of all problems of material work is to broadcast very, very widely the transcendental glories of Supreme Lord. There are 4 classes of men and there are 4 classes of bad men also. The 4 classes of good men acknowledge the authority of the Almighty. And therefore, such good men, when they are in difficulty, when they are in need of money, when they are advanced in knowledge, when they are inquisitive to know more and more about God, intuitively takes shelter of the Supreme Lord. As such, Naradji advised Vyasa to broadcast the transcendental knowledge of God in terms of vast Vedic knowledge, which he has already attained. As for the bad men, we know very well from the Bhagavad Gita, as far as the bad men are concerned, there are also 4 in number. Those who are simply addicted to the modes of progressive fruity work and thus are subject to the accompanying miseries. Those who are simply addicted to vicious work for sense satisfaction and so suffer the consequences. Those who are materially very much advanced in knowledge, but who suffer because do not have sense to acknowledge the authority of the Almighty Lord. The class of men who are known as atheists, who therefore purposely hate the very same name of God, although they are always in difficulty. Naradji advised Vyasa to describe the glories of the Lord, just to do good to the 8 classes, all classes of men, both good and bad. Srimad Bhagavatam is therefore not meant for a particular class of men or sect. It is for the service, sincere soul who actually wants his own welfare and peace of mind. Thus ends the purport of the first canto, first 5th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Narada's Instruction of Srimad Bhagavatam for Vyasadeva. So, this means that those who become devotedly confident to Scripture, taste the glories of the Lord, they are the people who are intelligent, who relish this Bhagavatam. And once they are speaking this Bhagavatam, there are many people who follow. So in this way, Bhagavatam is meant for everyone, whether it is with intelligence or without intelligence, whether it is with qualification or not qualification. All can take advantage of this Srimad Bhagavatam. This is how he concludes this chapter, Narada's explanation on Bhagavatam. So we stop here. Let's see, some questions have come up. We'll take some questions to end. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, it is inconceivable how a boy as young as Narada was able to understand the import of the principles spoken by Bhaktivedantas as they departed. Because application is a whole different challenge. How did Narada continue to receive guidance where the Bhaktivedantas, his only guru, as later Chaitya Guru and later Chaitya Guru? Yes, Narada, he continued because he kept the instructions of the Bhaktivedantas in his heart. Now, how many times did Srila Prabhupada meet his spiritual master? I heard only 3 or 4 times. But what was guiding Srila Prabhupada was the instruction given by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. So, it is all depending on not how much time he gets the guidance, how many times he gets the guidance. It all depends on how much sincerely one is practicing the instructions. If somebody is practicing the instructions very sincerely, the Lord himself as Chaitya Guru will guide the person as he guided Narada. The next chapter will give a very elaborate description of the question what you asked. That is how the Lord himself became the Chaitya Guru. Chaitya Guru is the Lord himself. If Ramanuja came to establish Pancharatra, why only born Brahmins are allowed to do deity worship in Sri Vaishnava temples? Oh, you have to ask them because I am not a Sri Vaishnava. See, public worship, there is a social norm, they do. But when it comes to Samashrayam, anybody can do, anybody can accept initiation from any Acharya. But worship in the house, they are allowed to be done by everyone. But when it comes to big temples, public worship, because the social situation, and also a kind of it became a tradition. Social situation, the tradition put together, it is a norm, but it is not a rule. Anybody who is initiated, get the Pancharasik Diksha, has a right to worship the deity. Your question, if Ramanuja came to establish why only Brahmins are allowed to do deity worship, I put a small word there, in the temples in public. But I know many Sri Vaishnavas who are not born in Brahmin families. By taking Samashrayam from a spiritual master, they accept the Panchasanskaram, and then they are worshipping the deities in their houses by using the mantras given by their guru. So you have to see the social situation also, the norms, social norms. I don't know how far it is true, but I also heard from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, who was a person who actually fought the Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas. He proved Vaishnavas to be superior to the Brahmanas. In the Gaudiya Maths, in at least a few of the Gaudiya Maths, he only allowed the Brahmin initiated devotees and also born in Brahmin families to enter the altar, because the social norm, ultimately it is meant for preaching. If you do something which is against preaching, against the social norm, custom in that area, then it goes anti-preaching. So I heard, I don't have any concrete proof for that, but this was this is a thing which I heard, one of the Gaudiya Matha devotees. But I asked him, you have any proof for the literature like that? No, I did not meet him later. But of course, he was not just another devotee, he's actually sannyasi of the Gaudiya Math in Chaitanya Math. I was just talking to him, then this is what he told. And maybe some of you can do some research and find out. There is no rule, because Pancharatra, once anybody gets initiated, they can worship the Lord even in public places. But it is a social rule. Now going further, Prabhu in every mantra, what is the significance of Om? Om Keshwaya Namaha. Om also means the Lord. Om, there are something called Bijaksharas. Om, Aim, Klim, Sham, all these things are Bijaksharas. All the Bijaksharas are nothing but representation of the Lord. Sound representation of the Lord. And now the mantra is Kriya. Like you say, Om Keshavaya Namaha. Om is Bijakshara, that is also Supreme Lord. And Keshava is the name of the Lord, the form of the Lord which you are describing or you want to surrender to or pay obeisances to. Namaha is Kriya. Now, any mantra has a Bijakshara. Vedic mantras, of course, even Pancharatik mantras also have Bijaksharas. These Bijaksharas are invoking the Lord. And the Lord, which Lord manifests? The name. Which form of the Lord manifests? It is based on the name, whatever name. Keshava, then Keshava comes. Narayana, Narayana comes. Madhava, Madhava comes. And once he appears here, then what happens? You have to pay obeisances, surrender. Vidmahe, Prachodayat, Dhimahi, these are Namaha. All these things are the activities. Let us meditate on, surrender to, Prachodayat, Dhimahi, Vidmahe, we want to know you as, like that, they are activities. So this is a special Bijakshara, is to invoke the Lord. By chanting the Bijakshara perfectly, by practice, then the Lord is invoked. And which Lord? The name, Nama comes in between. And ultimately, after Lord appears, what you do is this thing. I know there is Mantra Vijnana, it is a big science. I just cannot explain the entire science on just a question in question answer format. But in summary, this is the one. Also, why Madhvas use tantric method to worship Udupi Krishna. Also, why Madhva sannyasis don't wear Brahmin thread. Do they chant Gayatri? See, Pancharatra is also Tantra. But it is named in a different way because there is a different methodology being used. Sri Pad Madhvacharya, he Tantra Sara, he wrote one book, The Methodology of Worship of the Lord. There are three ways of worshipping the Lord. One Vedic, Pancharatric, Tantric, and the fourth way is Pantha. In Jagannath Puri, it is neither Vedic nor Pancharatric nor Tantric. It is Pantha. In Pandharpur also is Pantha. Many places, there are certain books which are only meant for that particular place. So we don't want to talk about that. Vedic way of worshipping the Lord, it has a restriction. It requires lot of elaborate methodology, involves training, and also birth is one of the categories, criteria there. An important criteria. In Pancharatra, birth is not a criteria. And many of the mudras and everything are very simplified in Pancharatra. And there is a lot of accommodation for bhava. In the Vaidika, to accommodate bhava in the worship is very difficult. Of course, we don't know what is it. In Tirupati, and there's one more temple called Uppiliyappan. Basically, in these two temples, you have still Vaikhanas Agama still being practiced. Ramanuja, he added Pancharatra there in Tirupati, but he let that Agama, Vaikhanas Agama still continue. Even till today, only the Vaikhanas Agama worshippers, they only worship the deity. And the other Sri Vaishnavas, they're not even, they just are there to do their own kind of worship, but the actual worship is done by the Vaikhanas Agama. And also in Uppiliyappan temple, also the same thing, for some reason. So this is the reason. And in the Madhvas, the worship of the deity is more of tantric because of the place. In the place where Madhva is preaching, would be in Kerala, all that region, For generations and generations, the deities were worshipped according to the tantric way. There are certain special mantras and special mudras which are used. And the philosophy of Tantra allows a lot of scope for experiencing the energy of the Lord. In Pancharatra, it allows a scope for experiencing the bhava towards the Lord. That is the only difference. That is why when you go to Udupi temples, you'll find the tremendous energy there. And of course, bhava is little bit not so much evident. This is the basic fundamental difference. So ultimately, every methodology of worship has a philosophy behind it. So Madhvas are also Vaishnavas, Shiva Vaishnavas are also Vaishnavas. There may be somebody who is worshipping the Lord according to Pancharatra, but they may not be Vaishnavas because they have accepted the philosophy of Mayavad or Nyaya, Vaishishika, something. There may be somebody who is worshipping the Lord according to the Tantric Vidhi, but their philosophy may be Mayavad. So, just because somebody is worshipping according to Pancharatra, that doesn't mean he has accepted the Vaishnava philosophy. It is a methodology of worship which is prevalent, which is allowed by the Lord himself. Three methods: Vaidika, Pancharatrika, and Tantrika. And for us, the most suitable is Pancharatrika because there is a scope of bhava. And ultimately, in the Gaudiya line, in our mood, there is no question of Archana for Radha Krishna. Prabhupada says, whatever worship we are doing, the Radha Krishna accept the Lakshmi Narayana. Archana is only meant for Radha Krishna and expansions of is only meant for Lakshmi Narayana. Radha Krishna don't accept Archana, they only accept Seva. That is why Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he told, in the Gaudiya line, when we go to worship Radha Krishna, we are actually not worshipping Radha Krishna. It is not puja of Radha Krishna, it is not Archana of Radha Krishna, it is Seva Puja. Even till today, in the Gaudiya Math, they say, what are you doing? We are doing Seva Puja. Because Radha Krishna, they don't accept only puja. They don't accept just, they don't accept Archana. It is Seva. So, if you have a deity of Radha Krishna, if you are doing Archana, they accept as Lakshmi Narayan. If it is Seva, Radha Krishna accept. But if you are doing puja as Seva, that is why it is called Seva Puja. So, let us take that point. Do they chant Gayatri? Oh, they got n number of Gayatris. Matva Sannyasis and Matva, n number of, so many Gayatris are there. And there are so many Bijaksharas also. So many mudras are there in worshipping the Lord. And there is Santasara, this book, it contains all the methodology. Anyhow, when it comes to worship, it's very interesting. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he took Vigraha Satyakurimani. The Vigraha is as good as Krishna, is actually Krishna himself. Tumi Pratimane Vrajendra Nandan, Sakshal Vrajendra Nandan. That philosophy he took from Madhva Sampradaya, but methodology of worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not take from Madhva Sampradaya, he took from Sri Sampradaya. Right. So all the Pancharatra methodology of worship, this Sri. Now, Madhva, don't wear Brahmin thread. Of course, it is true, because Ekadanda Sannyas. When you take Ekadanda Sannyas, your Shika is not there, and your Brahmin thread is also not there, because it is Ekadanda Sannyas is actually Karma Sannyasa. Dashavida Sannyasa as established by even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not have a Brahmin thread. In the photographs, you have Brahmin thread. He did not have Shika because he took Ekadanda Sannyas. The only thing he did not change was the name. He did not take Sannyas name. He did not become Bharati. In the Bharati Sampradaya, Chaitanya is actually a Brahmachari name. See, just kept the Brahmachari name, not to the Sannyas name, even after taking Sannyas, to prove to the entire world, everybody is servant of God as much as Brahmachari is a servant of a Sannyasi. Okay, in Pancharatrik Vidhi, mentioned in Vedic branches, no. For that, we have to go to the discussion which we had in the first day. There are agamas. There are Vaidika and non-Vedic agamas, and Pancharatra comes under the part of a special category of agamas. And as mentioned by in the Vedas, Puranas are Panchama Veda. In the Puranas, Pancharatra has been described very elaborately. Pancharatra is described in the Puranas very elaborately. Rather, many of the Pancharatra scriptures are spoken by quotations in Puranas. If you take Narada Pancharatra, there are so many quotations in the Puranas. So in this way, Vedas indicate Puranas are authorized, and the Puranas, they are talking about Pancharatra very nicely. Okay. Next, Prabhuji, could you please give us some more understanding of Gayatri mantras so that we can chant them more? Whatever Gayatri mantras you got, if you are a Brahmin initiated, you got this Gayatri mantra 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So these mantras, you chant them, and there's one book called Gayatri Mahima Madhuri. If you can get that book and read, it will be good. Because to give a seminar on Gayatri on this public forum like this, it is not very good. So I request that you read that book. That is better. And then some discussion is there. Based on the questions on that book, we can discuss. Now, extremely grateful to you, Prabhuji, for your answer, Prabhu. What is difference between Archana in Navida Bhakti, in Pancharatri deity worship? Same. Archana is done either through Vedic, Pancharatri, and Tantric. So we do Archana of the Lord by using the Pancharatric method. That is very simple. Archana in Navada Bhakti and in Pancharatric worship, there is no difference. When Archana is mentioned, Archana is done in three cannons. You can shoot the ammunition either by Vedic or Pancharatric or Tantric. So we are using the Pancharatric system, and that is what we are qualified for. That is what our acharyas have given. Somebody is doing Vedic, well and good. We don't have to criticize them. That is another way. Why you want to restrict Krishna to be worshipped only in one way? He's unlimited, isn't it? You give the analogy of train track. In Bhagavad Gita is sufficient? If yes, for whom? Yes, it is sufficient if you are like Haridas Thakur. If you are Brahmadupurata Prasannatma, actually, Nairam Galadhara Sudhara, you are chanting. You don't know how many rounds you are chanting. How many rounds you are chanted. There are two ways you don't know how many rounds you are chanted. One is tears are flowing up. You're feeling ecstasy, going on chanting. Other is you're sleeping. You don't know how many rounds you chanted. So if you're on that platform of you go on chanting, you don't know how 24 hours have passed. For that, you don't require any Pancharatra. Like Haridas Thakur. Now, for those people, it's not required. There's one book called Bhajan Rahasya. In the introduction, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives a distinction, a difference between the Bhajan and Archan. As long as we are in the bodily concept of life, we require Archan. And of course, we should very humbly accept that we are in the bodily concept of life. So that is why we require that Archan. Otherwise, how? Just cannot. One devotee came and told me the same question. Then Prabhuji, I just want to chant, that's all. Then I told, okay, very good. Because he said that I don't want to do any services, just want to chant. He gave the example of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Some pastime he told where Bhaktivinoda Thakur told, let him chant just whole day. Then I told, okay. You just want to chant, what about prasad? Some prasad is required, Prabhuji. Okay, very good. Some prasad will be given to you. You will only chant prasad. Then now, how long you want to chant? Prabhuji, I want to chant 64 rounds. And sleep for how much you want to sleep? I want to sleep at 8 o'clock, get up morning at 3 o'clock and then chant my 64 rounds. I don't want to do anything else. Chant and take prasad and sleep. That's all. Then I told, okay, very good. But on one condition I told. Every time you sleep while chanting, that many times prasad will not be given to you. Then he thought for some time and told, Prabhuji, whatever your service you tell, I'll do it. Then I told him, go and clean the vessels in the deity department. So now you understand what I meant. So as you gave analogy, okay, is Pancharatra necessary for everyone? What should be the general principle? Yeah, I've already told. You beautifully said Anu Smara is sadhana and Yuddha is seva, duty. Please clarify. Already clarified, already done that. Feel that morning program is most difficult service, seva to do, which we call sadhana. How do you define sadhana and seva in principle? Because executing order of Guru is service. Yes, executing the orders of Guru is service. And two ways you serve your Guru, by executing, by even actually our Bhagavatam, we speak in the Bhagavatam, morning Bhagavatam class. It is one of the offerings to Krishna, like Bhoga, Rajbhog offering, one of the offerings to Krishna. One of the offerings to Krishna in the 64 items is to glorify Krishna from different scriptures, especially from Bhagavatam. So, Bhagavatam class, even though nobody is sitting in front of you, you should offer to Krishna. When I joined 20 years back, 22 years back, Mirror, so once a week, once or twice a week, all the devotees used to go to Sabji Mandi to get Sabji. So all of them used to go. Then on that day, they would ask me to speak the Bhagavatam class because nobody is there. And I would like to do that because that is a practice session for me to speak Bhagavatam. Nobody is in front. I went on speaking the Bhagavatam because it is an offering to Krishna. So, it is not just Bhagavat Vidhi. It is actually, Pancharatra is included within that, especially at our stage. So, we just cannot separate it. Executing or, yes, which is also chanting 16 rounds. One of them is this. Please clarify. Yes. See, chanting, reading Bhagavatam, these are exclusively Bhagavad Vidhi. And other things, collecting funds for the temple, it is Pancharatra. It is also one of the Pancharatric system. It is known as Upadana. In Pancharatra, there are 5 angas. Abhigamana, then you have Upadana, Bhuta Shuddhi, Ijja, and Yaga. So those of you who have studied Nada Pancharatra, you must be knowing these 5. And everybody should know. Upadana means collecting articles for worship of the Lord. How will you collect articles if you have not collected money? So collecting money is also worship of the Lord. It is also Pancharatra. Going buying sabji is Pancharatra. You setting the microphone, that is Pancharatri Vidhi. Everything is Pancharatra. Cleaning the toilet is Pancharatra. Okay, question. Karma Mishra Bhakti, how is it different from unalloyed devotion? See, both are Bhakti. Karma Mishra Bhakti and Shuddha Bhakti, both are Bhakti. But the difference is not in the item, it is difference is in your consciousness. When our attachment is towards the service more than the object of the service, Krishna, then it is called Karma Mishra. When you are interested in karma more than the person whom you are doing or person whom you are offering karma for, that becomes Karma Mishra. Like for example, you ask a brahmachari, Prabhuji, today it so happened that the worker did not come who is supposed to clean the toilets. So why don't you clean the toilet today? He says, no, do you know, I am a Bhagavatam speaker. Why you should do these things? He's a good devotee. But his attachment is for the work. He thinks I am a teacher, so I should go and clean. So if he is really practicing pure devotional service, he sees cleaning the toilet is also serving Krishna. Speaking Bhagavatam is also serving Krishna. So ultimately both are serving Krishna, so I can do anything. So when his mind is so flexible to do anything because he sees Krishna behind every work, that is pure devotional service. But if he is able to see only that is what I can do, he is attached to karma than the person whom he is doing karma for. That is called karma. It's more of consciousness. These karma mishra bhakti, jnana mishra bhakti, yoga mishra bhakti, shuddha bhakti, the difference is not in the activity, but in with the consciousness in which the activity is performed. Both do actions for Krishna. The karma kanda is attached to the result of work, but the karma mishra bhakta, karma kanda is not just attached to the result of work. There they use Krishna for getting the result of work. That is why it is called karma kanda. But the same karma kandi, if he is offering the result of work to Krishna, then he becomes karma mishra bhakta. So I think I explained why Madhu sannyasis don't wear Brahmin thread with the chant Gayatri, and also why Madhus use tantric method. I think I've answered this question. Prabhu Narad Muni heard his spiritual master briefly and kept the instructions in his heart. In present day ISKCON, we have so many seniors with differing moods and areas of focus. Sometimes it is very confusing how to develop clarity. Like every lady has one husband but respects all women, all men. In the same way, you should have one person who is guiding you in your spiritual life, and all others may give inspiration. So it is not that you just go on doing everything what people are telling you. Definitely, all the people who are inspiring, they can be inspiration. Like for example, my spiritual masters told me, oh, this is your task, this is your seva. I only listen to and then focus on that. And all the others whom I hear from, they're all acting as an inspiration for me to execute the mission given to me by my spiritual master and my management. So that selection has to be done. That has to be fixed up. Otherwise, there will be confusion in the practical level. So we stop here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We have 2 more days, tomorrow and day after. We'll try to complete the 6th chapter. The further story of Narad Muni after the Bhakti Vedantas, they left. Hare Krishna.